Welcome to Tales from the Waystone Summer Reading Program.
We're your hosts, Will and Phoenix. As you may have noticed from the title, this is actually a Favorite Things podcast. Let's get into it.
So, as you may have noticed, this isn't our normally scheduled podcast. So, due to certain scheduling issues, we haven't really had time to do a traditional episode, but we didn't want to leave you with nothing. So, Phoenix and I were talking about it, and we thought it might be fun just to share sort of a list of cozy recs, favorite things that are fun for us to relax to and enjoy.
Some of it's nostalgic for us specifically. Some of it's just fun stuff. Some of it's just relaxing stuff. Some of it's just wrap yourself in self-care stuff. Scheduling things happen. I don't particularly want to obfuscate everything. We pride ourselves on talking about how mental illness and things like ADHD, anxiety can really affect day-to-day living. On top of that, I've had a year, guys. So, our last episode that we released, I loved that conversation. It made me very happy, and that's the type of conversation that I really wanted to have for Monk and Robot. That was why I chose that as a thing to cool down with after various surgeries. And in a mix between one of our planned record days being torpedoed by ADHD and another one being torpedoed by anxiety, we weren't able to get this week's scheduled one for the end of the first Monk and Robot book done. We weren't able to record it. And the combination of being able to record it in time for me to edit it. Because on Friday, which at time of this recording is in a couple of days, I get to have more surgery. And I can't promise that the following one is going to come out on time either. I want it to, but if wishes were horses, the world would be covered in horse shit, now wouldn't it? Also, ignore any little bangs or whatever the hex. Our neighbors seem to be having a porch built. I don't have time to really accommodate that either. But anyway, I wanted to at least bring something and have something easy and quick to edit. And one of the things that just sparked this was that back in 2014, I think?
2014 or 2015, I forget which.
We went to go see Cirque du Soleil, Curious, and I love the music. It's kind of an electro swing vibe. And as I've said before, both of us collect vinyl records. And I had been looking to see if I could find a copy of it on vinyl for, idly for the last couple of years. And we finally found one. And it was in perfect condition. Will got it for me. And that arrived recently. And it just, I don't know, there's something about having that nostalgia of a show that we got to go see with your mom and fond memories and music kind of bringing that back to the fore.
Yeah. So when this happened, when we went to see that show, my dad had been out of the country for an extended trip for work. And so mom was at home by herself for the better part of 2 months, I want to say.
Might have even been longer.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months. It was a long trip.
And so we planned an outing that was something just fun.
Yeah. We invited mom to go see the show with us. And, it was at a time when I think she really needed the company. We appreciated having her around for it. And I remember all of us had a really good time together.
I really like that show. We've seen 2 different Cirque du Soleils. We've seen that in La Nuba. And I personally prefer Curious. I wouldn't mind going to see another one. There is just this level of awe at seeing people being able to do these performances. We've gone back and watched some YouTube videos of the performances and brought back some more of those memories. And there are definitely ones that I want to see that I probably never will because they are stationed in Las Vegas and I have no interest to go to Las Vegas unless it's just to go to a bunch of shows. Couldn't be more expensive than gambling. Really couldn't. I'd be a bad gambler.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's that. And then if another show comes around, might go to see it. Might have to go to Seattle for it, but it would be fun.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good time, and hearing the music together really brought back some of those fond experiences.
All right. And before we get too far along with stuff, I also want to give a shout out to one of our friends that posted on the Discord. And you can go look at the KKC discussion channel in our Discord and find the link to this lovely trivia questionnaire that the two of us are really, really bad at.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised how much of the story or the details more accurately, that I'd kind of just put into long-term storage, never to be recalled again.
Before I get too far on that, I do want to remember their handle at least. Do you have it?
Let me pull that. Interjecky.
Yeah, they were really kind about posting that in our Discord, and I assume that they're the one that put it all together, and oh my gosh. I think between the two of us, we maybe got a third of them.
We didn't get many points.
No, neither of us got very many points. I got some things that you didn't get, you got some things that I didn't get, but neither one of us did well.
Yep.
But then I'm also remembering how long ago it was that we actually read the books.
And I have read a lot of other books in the interim.
So have I, not just for the podcast.
Yep.
But anyway, if you want to go see how good your memory of the Kingkiller Chronicle is, I definitely recommend it. It's got a great mix of really stupidly hard questions and really stupidly easy questions, which is probably all the ones that we got right. And then also, of course, trick questions. But yeah, I want to just also thank them for sharing it on our Discord.
We appreciate it.
There is a link to that Discord in our description, also on the Patreon, patreon.com/waystonepod, if you want to go check out that wonderful set of trivia questions.
Another thing that we found that we both really enjoy are songs that have stories to them.
Yeah. So I think I've said a lot. My musical tastes are very eclectic and weird. It's pretty much metal, songs from the 90s, and sea shanties, and video game music.
And for me, it's songs from the 90s, various flavors of metal, and then, songs from the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I also like a lot of stuff from that era as well.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of songs that have stories to them, and a lot of things in the folk, sea shanty, all that stuff tends to have rather humorous stories. Now, I like funny stories more than I like tragic stories, because I don't need to have my music have tragic stories all the time. There are some that are beautiful that do have tragic stories. There Were Roses is one of the ones that pops in my head. But I think that that's on a grander scale than like someone stole my truck, my girlfriend, and my dog. but some of those can be kind of humorous too, depending on if they're serious about themselves. I'm more talking about I'm thinking Willie Taylor is one of the ones that pops in my head that I really like.
All of this and no mention of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. This is blasphemy.
I haven't yet gotten to that.
You should have led with that.
Ye who has made a playlist that made our music teacher go, why? Not trying to yuck your yum, but why? How many versions of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald were on that?
Enough to fill 3 hours.
And there have been more since, because I know my favorite alternate, not the original, just cover, came out well after you made that playlist. But yes, we have at one point, without getting tired of it, gone from Seattle to the Southern Oregon coast on Highway 101, just listening to the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald in many, many different iterations. And I found that to be enchanting. So yeah, so that's one of them. There's Barrett's Privateers, which also I need to share that one of the most enchanting things I saw this week was a kind of in between the break, Stephen Colbert in his interview with Robert Plant, and it's saying that Robert Plant doesn't like sea shanties, and Stephen Colbert is kind of like, what, why? And then he's like, I bet you don't have a favorite sea shanty. And he's like, in fact I do. And then he sang Barrett's Privateers.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And Robert Plant is just like, okay, cool, man. Again, not trying to yuck your yum.
Right.
It's just, I think this is just not his jam. But what is his jam is Lord of the Rings. I mean, Led
Yes.
Zeppelin was really one of the forefathers of what I like to think of as book report metal. So Robert Plant was talking about how he grew up in the West Midlands of England, which is the same area that Tolkien was from, and just how mystical and weird that landscape could be really spoke to him on a songwriting level, and it's what sparked his imagination as a kid and later on as an adult. And so, I mean, like, Lord of the Rings pops up all throughout Led Zeppelin. Whether you're talking about the obvious ones, Ramble On or Battle for Evermore or Stairway to Heaven, that really also got me thinking about my own history with those books and the way that, like, for me, they evoke a very particular time of year. They are very much a seasonal thing. Like, there is something that just brings me joy about cracking open the Lord of the Rings trilogy on the autumnal equinox, and then you just read all the way through. It starts off light. The leaves are changing colors. It's kind of golden. And then as autumn progresses, the books get darker. The landscape gets more hostile.
I mean, I have a friend, very dear friend, who she can't watch The Fellowship past when the Nazgul start chasing them.
I mean, I'm not trying to say your friend's a weenie, but
She's a very gentle soul.
yeah. But I feel like that also really does match the progressing of the season as the weather gets harsher. The leaves start to fall off the trees, the wind starts to blow, the rain comes down harder, and there's a chill bite in the air. The days get shorter and the nights get darker and longer. I can kind of track that to the journey of the ring that Frodo takes. Leaving Hobbiton early autumn, it's bright, it's sunny. He gets all the way to Rivendell, again, still very picturesque and scenic. And then once the journey starts in earnest, it goes downhill pretty quick. They get stuck underground in Moria. Gandalf dies. Then there's a reprieve in Lorien, but then really that's the last moment of comfort. From there on, it is captivity. It is long, lonely walk.
It's dodging danger. It's not dodging danger.
Like, I mean, it is a continuous slog at that point, and I actually really appreciate that. And so it's fun for me to kind of enjoy it as conditions get darker. And again, I've talked before about how cozy is not about the absence of hardship. It is about the resilience in the face of hardship and finding those things that help people endure, and finding that in friendship, in finding moments of solace, moments of beauty that help them to persevere. Lord of the Rings is cozy to me because of those hardships, because of those trials and tribulations that our characters face. And, as you go into autumn and into winter, as you deal with all of the darkness of that season, it's a great way to, I think, build that connection and look for those parts in your own life.
I'd say that if you just want it to be even more perfect, finding a bright enough to read but dim enough to feel intimate space with the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, preferably on vinyl.
Yeah, that is a really pleasant way to read.
A nice cozy blanket on your lap.
Mm-hmm.
If a cat were allowed in this room, maybe. If he would sleep and not eat everything in sight, especially that which isn't food. Anyway, but that would just make it that much more perfect for me. But my room is set up specifically to be cozy, at least for me. It's got the lower lighting. It's got a rocking chair that's perfect for reading books next to a window overlooking a park. It's set up specifically in a way that makes me feel comforted. Do we have anything else on our list, or was that everything?
One last thing, and that is The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking about both the movie and the book. The book is a little lesser known.
I can't say for certain like that I would call it my favorite movie because like as we've talked, The Lord of the Rings exists. Also Studio Ghibli exists. Like
It's on my short
it
list.
is on my short list. It's something I can go back to time and time and time again.
It is endlessly rewatchable. It is something that I think holds up uniquely well. And I would argue that the book also fits into this. If you think about it this way, like the movie is actually the story of the way that people oftentimes experience books when they're kids.
The narration though still happens like you're still a step removed in the book.
Yeah. What I actually like about it, though, is like all of the footnotes and everything that talk about the book The Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern as a work of fiction that exists within the meta narrative.
It's Terry Pratchett-esque.
A little bit, yeah. I like to kind of imagine that the book and the book as it exists in the movie, the story within the story exists in the way that parents sometimes selectively edit the stories that they read to their kids.
Yeah, like there are some stories that you look back on and you're like, I don't think I remember that word being in that book. Or I don't remember a word that had a different meaning or had the same meaning but we never use it that way existing in this book. I don't remember that text being there. I've tried to go back and read Peter Pan. Oof, really difficult. I have a copy of Peter Pan that I believe is actually 100 years old. Oof. Also, The Wizard of Oz. I know for a fact that the word ejaculated exists in that book in a way that doesn't mean what you think it means. It means exclaimed, but it was also written in the early 1900s. So that's what it meant. That is actually what it like a definition of it. No one will use it that way, especially not in a children's book.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, Princess Bride is, like I say, something that I just find deeply enjoyable, again, both in literary and film form. And they work as companion volumes. Like you have, because even the version that you have in print is pretending to be an edited and cut version known as the good parts version. And there's something just deeply charming to me about having this be sort of a fairy tale that has morphed over time and how it's been told. And like, if you were to remake the movie, you wouldn't actually remake the movie. What you would do is you would have your framing device be Fred Savage as a grown up pitching a film based on the story that his grandfather used to tell him, and then he's trying to tell it to somebody else. And he's, of course, changing it, trying to adapt it into a movie.
maybe.
That's how you would do it. I don't think they're ever going to do that, but
I don't think that everything needs to be remade.
I don't think they do. But I think the beauty of it is that it really is about the way that tales grow in the telling, and they take on the character of their narrator. So having Peter Falk as grandpa reading this story to his grandson who's homesick, it's the way that that story is told with love and care and warmth, and the way that that story affects us. And we can see as the kid grows more interested in the ins and outs of the story that he's been suspicious of the kissing book parts. Seeing him slowly grow to care about the characters, care about the world and the plot and everything, and maybe even some of the kissing.
When was the first time you saw it?
I first saw it when I was in middle school. So I was a part of the fencing club. And we had a day where our coach had a bunch of papers that he had to grade because he was also our history teacher. And so he's like, okay, guys, I have a bunch of stuff to work on right now. I don't have time to do a lesson. So instead, we're having a movie night. This is the best fencing movie ever. And so then me and my fencing buddies watched The Princess Bride. And I remember, in addition to it having one of the all-time greatest cinematic sword fights of all time, in that fight between Inigo and Wesley, the Man in Black, the dialogue, the humor, the warmth of the whole thing, it was just endlessly enjoyable. So even when they weren't, sword fighting or running from eels or getting eaten by rodents of unusual size or any of that stuff, I was still having a great time. And it was just perfect. Of course, you have Wallace Shawn, who at that point I knew primarily as the Grand Nagus Zek from Deep Space Nine.
Same.
Having him show up as Vizzini was really funny for me because I was like, oh, so that's what he actually looks like.
Right, without all the prosthetics.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I first saw it, very similar actually. I was in junior high and it was my drama club, and teacher put it on to show one of the best examples of sword fighting in a movie.
Yeah.
We were about the same age.
Yeah. But yeah, I can go back and watch that movie at any time and it still holds up.
Like, I think that the thing that's the most aged is the baseball, like the video game at the beginning.
Yeah, he's playing Tecmo Baseball, which I remember playing when I was that age, like over at my friend's house playing that on the NES.
I gotta say, even as an adult, when I'm sick or feeling like absolute just crap warmed over, video games are still like the best. If I am awake enough and like able to function well enough, I fully accept that for the next couple of weeks, I'm probably going to be on the couch playing Hades 2, which just got a new patch update. And so now I want to find all the new stuff. And like, there is just something also kind of nostalgic about being able to sit and play video games when you don't feel well.
Absolutely. So, with that, I'd like to thank you for potting with me.
Thank you for potting with me. And thank you all for listening to us if you got this far. Again, I don't know when we'll have the last two chapters of A Song for the Wild Built. I'm not going to give any promises because I do not know how I will feel after surgery. I do know that I get restless and that I might not want that much time off. So we'll find out. It shouldn't affect whether or not I can talk, depending on painkiller status.
We'll see how lucid you are.
And I don't think that this one would be a funny one to do while I'm high on painkillers, so I'm not going to do that.
But yeah, we'll try and keep you folks in the loop on the Discord about scheduling and things like that.
Yeah, if we're not going to do another one, like a full one, we might still do a little one or just a little, hey, sorry, there's not one this week. But thank you all. And with that, I'd like to thank Shawnee Jang for our theme music.
And thanks to all of you for being part of our community.
Audio production and editing, courtesy of me, Phoenix McCullough.
Writing and project management, courtesy of me, Will McCullough.
If you would like to help support us, you don't have to, only if you have the means. But if you also want to see me write to y'all like a brief little snippet about what we did over the week, whether or not I like the episode, because sometimes that happens in the Patreon stuff, you can go to patreon.com/waystonepod or Discord, because Discord is more fun. Anyway, with that, here's to one more day above the roses.
To one more day above the roses.
Ding!
Good job.
So it's some of our favorite things podcast. How much do you think we have to worry about sticking a stinger at the end?
I don't think we do.